In order to experience such a virtual world and a virtual reality, you would need some kind of a device. There are many high-scale premium products as well, but at the same time, there are some companies who are providing various low-cost, simple devices as well. By making use of your smartphones that many of you have, you'll be able to taste virtual reality. I think you all received one of these VR devices when you walked in. This is Cardboard VR. We have a short video that will introduce you to how to assemble this. Why don't you take a look and assemble your devices?
예, 이게 뭐 굉장히 간단합니다.
It looks very simple, right? Yesterday I asked if I could get one of these in advance, and I showed it to my teenage son, and he said that it was very effective, although it's very simple. So now I would like to introduce on stage Mr. Lee Yusang, Vice President of Business Development and Partnership of Unofficial Cardboard. Please welcome him with a warm round of applause.
I'd like to start off by trying something I've never done in front of a live audience. So please bear with me. I skate to where the puck is going to be, not to where it has been. Originally stated by the legendary hockey player Wayne Gretzky, this line has been quoted by the likes of Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs. And what it's really talking about is calling the shots before they happen. It's about preparing yourself in a manner to best take advantage of the opportunities that aren't in front of you right now, but are soon to arise. But revolutionary, innovative, the next big thing, these words are thrown around so often these days that they've become almost cliche. And it begs the question, what constitutes a revolution, right? I've seen this commercial multiple times for a product that's supposed to be so innovative. It's the biggest thing to happen, that it's bigger than the internet. Right? The Taco Bell quesalupa. Now all of you are thinking about lunch after my talk, right? And to be quite honest, I've tried this and it is absolutely delicious. But is it bigger than the internet? I don't think so. That's because the internet was truly revolutionary. It's because of the internet that we're able to live in what Marshall McLuhan deemed as the global village. And what the global village means is that the technology and the way that we are connected to one another has become so well developed that the physical distances between us no longer dictate who we can or cannot interact with, right? It's as if everyone in the world has been shrunk down into one village, and we can walk around and talk to each other to enjoy the instant sharing of information. And we could talk to anybody we want because of the max reach of connections. And all of this comes together so that we can interact with one another as if we were co-present. And this is so important because humans create their realities through their interactions. And I'll say that again. When we interact, we create meanings and we create the world around us. I'll show you an example. So here's a picture of a map, and everyone here knows that this is what the world looks like that we live in. Which is ironic because I doubt that anybody here has ever seen the world from this perspective. So how do we know this is what the world looks like, right? Well, it's because a long time ago, men came together and they interacted with one another, and they proved that this is what the world looks like. And then they left physical artifacts for people like you and me to see it. Now, if we didn't have artifacts like this map, then we might think that the world is flat. How about a more relatable example? Everyone knows what this is. It's the selfie, right? You all love to do it. The advent of front-facing cameras and social media platforms enabled people to take pictures of themselves and share it with the world so that everyone can see how beautiful we are, right? And in fact, in 2013, the Oxford Dictionary said that the selfie was the word of the year after there was a 17,000% increase in usage. In 2014, the Webster Dictionary inducted it as a real word. So we as humans created this new form of interaction, and we used it so many times that we had no choice but to induct it as a real thing in our reality. It was tangible, right? And this conference is all about evolving interaction. But to evolve anything, you have to understand what drives it at the core. And when we interact, we create reality and understand the world around us. And when we interact, we share ideas and experiences to educate and entertain. And we do all of this for one goal, and that's to improve mankind for the future generations. It's our manifest destiny. And we've been doing this since the beginning of time, so for thousands of years, right? So let's take a look at the most primitive villages, the earliest forms of human interaction, right? The very, very start, the beginning. So in this village, we have 6 people, and one person goes out and sees something that he calls a star. And another says he sees something called a triangle, and they interact and talk to each other and create this shared reality where stars and triangles exist. Now, the problem with this is that you have to be co-present and live when the interaction is happening, right? If you're not there, then you probably don't know about the stars and triangles. This was the case until the written word, right? We were able to write, visual communication came around. And we were now able to communicate and interact with people who were not in front of us. But this is still very limited until the printing press came along and invented books. We still use books today as a main medium for education, right? But this was the first time that mass communication was possible, right? Millions of people could share and agree upon one reality of truth. But it was still hard for people to visualize what the author wanted to share because it was still text. It wasn't until photography and films allowed us to share visual proofs of the world around us, kind of like the map, right? That's actually the very first selfie ever taken, and that's the first movie, motion film. So we see that revolutions, they break limitations and enrich interactions. And when I say enrich interactions, I mean to make it more real, as if we're there, and to make it lifelike, as convincing as possible. And in this first set of revolutions, we saw how we broke the limitation of co-presence. We no longer had to be there. However, we still needed the book, the photo, or the film to be transported to us. So we had to wait. So what do we do as humans? We began working on instant communication, right? So first there was the telegraph, which is the first form of instant displaced communication, and then the telephone brought voice. Soon we created the radio, which was kind of like the printing press. It was the first time mass communication was possible instantaneously, and naturally we moved on to the television. And with this, we broke the limitation of physical artifacts. We no longer had to wait for these content to be delivered to us. The problem with this, though, is that even though there were radios and televisions, the power to create content was still in the hands of a few. It was limited, right? Not everybody could create a broadcast system, right? Not everyone could be SBS. That was until the internet created a new landscape of possibilities, right? And along with the internet came the personal computer, which gave the power of content creation into the hands of individuals like you and me, and then the mobile phone, which allowed us to talk to anyone, anytime. And we see the same enriching of interactions in these, because first we had emails and text messages, and we were just talking about words. And it's strange though, because even when we were limited to just text, we were organically trying to figure out ways to personify and visualize our communications. Well, naturally, we moved on to digital photographs and then movies, right? And this was very important for me personally because, I mean, can you imagine me trying to learn this move by using just photographs? It's impossible. So once we reached that final level of this movies again, right? Something very cool happened. The internet, the personal computer, and the mobile phone all converged into the smartphone so that now we could take selfies. And with the advent of the smartphone came social media platforms, and social media just revolutionized what we value in society, right? It changed reality for us because TV ratings became replaced with online views. People who used to subscribe to magazines are now subscribing to individuals who are creating content that they love, right? And even on social media platforms, we saw this progression of enriching our interactions, right? First it started with text, status updates, then we began to share photos and some videos. And at the Facebook FA conference this year, one of the main topics of talk was live video and 360 videos. So for anyone out there who knows how much money that the internet and these platforms are creating, and you're sitting there thinking like, you missed out on the chance of a lifetime, this is your wake-up call. Because virtual reality is the new landscape of possibilities, right? It's the final form in the process of evolving interaction, because we're able to overwhelm our senses and dissociate our minds from the physical limitations of our own bodies, right? We could go teleport to places and experience things in a way that can only be discussed as the richest form of interaction. It's the closest that we're gonna get to being co-present without actually being there. But virtual reality is not new, right? It's been around since the 80s, and it's failed multiple times over the decades. So what makes it revolutionary now, right? It's all about the mass population. Just the same way how literacy rates didn't explode until the printing press placed books into the hands of millions, right? The internet was created in the 60s, but it didn't really revolutionize the world until the World Wide Web connected millions to the internet in the 90s. Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile, but he placed it into the hands of everyone. And in the same manner, while Unofficial Cardboard did not invent virtual reality, and we are not creating the highest quality form of virtual reality, we are the revolutionary force that is placing virtual reality into the hands of millions. We're giving people a small taste so that it plants the seeds for the future generation of innovations and creations, right? Because you have to try it. Talking about virtual reality is so difficult. And we are actually doubling down on our mission, right? If anybody goes to unofficialcardboard.com right now, you can get a free virtual reality viewer, because we want to share virtual reality with as many people as possible, because it's our manifest destiny. And we're not alone. The New York Times last year gave out 1 million Google Cardboard headsets to their subscribers. Of the 1 million people that received it, 600,000 of them downloaded the New York Times app. It was the most successful app that the New York Times ever released. It was so successful that this week, New York Times is actually releasing 300,000 more to their online subscribers. And as people are learning about affordable VR, they're doing really cool things across the world. Last month, a hospital in London held the first live VR surgery so that medical students across the world could lean in and watch as if they were there with the doctor. On the flip side, virtual reality is being used to help severe paranoia and treat phobias, just like Be Fearless, as Peter Koo showed you. And in America, Unofficial Cardboard actually partnered up with Coachella, one of the biggest music festivals to bring VR to 130,000 people that attended. Coors Light partnered with us to help people enjoy VR while they enjoy the ice cold beer. And in the higher end of things, HTC Vive, you see people trying, creating new ways of art. It's like a new renaissance, a way to experience art like never before. You can walk around in these creations. And it only makes sense for a social powerhouse like Facebook to be leading the development of interacting in a social space through virtual reality. And all of this is really cool. But what I look forward to the most, what really scares me is the potential of these students right here, right? Can you imagine what a child will dream of, what he will invent if he grows up knowing that virtual reality is possible? What kinds of ways will he evolve interactions to better mankind 10, 20 years down the road? But maybe that doesn't excite you. Maybe you hate kids. Then how about money? People expect that virtual reality will generate $5.1 billion this year in just gaming. Wired magazine proposed that the VR winners of today will become the largest companies in history. And market leaders like HTC are investing $100 million to help promote startups and new businesses get into the game of VR. And I've had the privilege of working with some of these startups. In the past 2 years, these small businesses that start out of nowhere and they're generating real revenue right now. And one of these partners is called Blockview. And they've graciously accepted and volunteered to help me with my demo for you today. So we saw how you can use the virtual reality viewer. And if you can, take it out right now and go to your browser. And if you enter blockview.com/SDF, and this is the first time I'm trying this, so I'm really hoping it'll work. You should be able to experience the photo that I took earlier on stage. So Blockview is actually, they're in the United States right now. And I took this photo at the beginning of my presentation. And in 20 minutes, we were able to put together a cheap but effective VR experience for you to enjoy here. Now, if two people can do this while I'm presenting on stage, what are the possibilities of a team of developers if they have a month, half a year? What kind of experiences and ways will they evolve interactions with the tools that are possible today? And I started this talk with a quote by Wayne Gretzky, and I would like to conclude with a line from Abraham Lincoln. So that things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. So for any innovators and creators out there right now, this is my invitation to you. The VR revolution is happening, and it's very real. And if you are interested in being part of quite possibly the biggest revolution in mankind, I invite you to join me on Official Cardboard, Samsung, everyone else who's getting in this game right now, because VR is here, it's moving fast, and it's time for you to hustle. Thank you very much.
예, 이유상 부사장께 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Yusang